Ladies and gentlemen, the Texas Senate has passed a bill to eliminate a requirement that public schools teach that the Ku Klux Klan is morally wrong. The same bill dropped studying Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech as a curriculum requirement. You might hear that and be like, no way, it's no way, it's no way. Eliminated requirements that also include the writings of Martin Luther King Jr., United Farm Workers leader Cesar Chavez, and suffragist Susan B. Anthony. Wow. The Susan B. Anthony one hurt because I remember that. I was there for that. I was there for that. In a new political law in Texas, the Republican-dominated state senators passed a bill to eliminate a requirement that public schools teach that the Ku Klux Klan and its white supremacist campaign terror are morally wrong. The cut is among some 24 curriculum requirements dropped, blah, blah, blah. We just read that. Critics say the state is promoting an anti-civics education. Senate Bill 3 passed last Friday, 18-4. Drops most mentions of people of color and women from the state's required curriculum that includes eliminating a requirement that students be taught the history of white supremacy. Here's why Governor Abbott added critical race theory to the special session. He doesn't want our kids to learn that white supremacy is morally wrong. You read that right. We must trust our teachers. We must defend our truth in our classroom. SB3 does the opposite. Strikes. The history of white supremacy, including but not limited to the institution of slavery, the eugenics movement, and the Ku Klux Klan, and the ways in which it is morally wrong. Explain that to me. Most people believe high school history textbooks are history books written by historians. The reality is that they are largely written or edited by administrators with more regard for biases and scholarship. As a historian, I greatly appreciate your efforts. Jesus. Yikes. The compulsory teaching of. Okay. All right. We're going to make this one easy. We're going to make this one so fucking easy. In the education field, we have something known as a Common Core curriculum. Things that we must make sure that the students learn and pass tests based on private, private companies' expectations. Board of Ed, shit like that. Like, just stuff that you wouldn't normally think about as involved in your kid's life. We do not have the option. We do not have the option at all to go and veer off the path. What is taught in high school history textbooks right now, and we're talking about high school because nobody's talking about goddamn like critical race theory in second grade. It's not happening. It's not happening. And if it is, it's not happening. Like, read between the lines on that one. It's not happening. It's like the thing that you think is happening is not happening. Anyway, we don't really get time to really delve into like what the history books miss because there's so much content that has to be given to children in order for them to test properly. Academic studies, or even bringing in the evolution of like, hey, we're not going to make slavery and, the events of the old South just a one chapter thing. We're actually going to like do that. Like, we're going to have a full U.S. history course over 4 years instead of us like going through, ancient past and then like a little bit of U.S. history in like your senior year. You're going to expand upon certain topics. We're going to land and then like talk about the overarching themes of a time period as opposed to like, okay, one chapter on Reconstruction, then we move to civil rights and now the world. Like, you wanting to ban this before it's even happening and you wanting to strike like the reality of what happens because you're afraid that it's gonna like make people hate white people, you're missing the point. You're missing the point of not only why they're doing this, which I'm going to explain to you, but why this is happening. And that's the quick part. Why they're doing this and what the actual effect is. Sorry. The actual effect of this has nothing to do with them like being able to say, oh, all white people are bad and they're doing this and look at them, look at them. The conversation is, what things did we build around us that naturally harm somebody born into a certain situation? How did we create a system that revolves around us constantly needing the support, the evaluation, the things, the knowledge, the this, the that, the left, right, up, downs? Why are they the way they are? And because we know that slavery was an invention of racism and not purely, oh, we just needed people to work the farms. Like, come on. Because we know that, what systems did we bore out of that era that haven't been changed enough to be fair and equal in today's society, now that we know that we did the wrongs before? Creating laws in that time and having them apply to now, you'd be like, well, if the same rules apply, if the Jim Crow laws were still in effect, that would be bad, right? But you still uphold the law. So if instead of saying no black people could be out past 9, which in sundown towns still exist, no black people could be out past 9. Cops are just naturally more aggressive to anybody they see in a hoodie walking down a dark street in the hood at 10 p.m. See how the system gives rise to the power? So the habit isn't enshrined in law, but they can catch you based on something on the law and still treat you like they used to. Now you're saying, well, that could be applied to a lot of situations. Exactly. That's what critical race theory aims to. That's why they don't want you to learn it, because then you'll unpack those preconceived biases that you have. You'll unpack that and you'll realize, wait a minute, this politician, these people, these groups, they not really saying the right thing, because that don't make sense. Like, I actually learned the real thing. Oh, we're not going to vote them in. Oh, we're not going to support. So it becomes a conversation on keeping white supremacy as the hierarchy. See how easy it is to get there? That's why that's happening. Why are they doing that? They don't care about what I just said. Like, that's the sad truth. They don't care about what I just said. They're doing that, one, to agitate people so they can keep pointing at the left and saying, see, they want you to be racist. They want you to be this. They want you to be that. At the same time, what they're actually doing is riling up their base to prove that they're doing something to combat the left's insanity. And you must vote us in so we can keep battling back this insanity. Abortions are bad. The left wants you to kill all the babies, and then they're going to eat them for the adrenochrome. Like, they want to run that story into the ground. Now, you're saying at this point, this is easy. Like, anybody with common sense would be able to see through the grift, the game, super easy. Yeah, it's the problem is again, the normalization of these topics, which brings me back to the Jimmy Dore thing. The normalization of certain types of conversations leads you on a path to say, oh, trans people, trans women don't tell their status to people they meet, and that's what gets them killed. Like, it's the onus of society gets blamed on the outliers for the way they exist, not for the way society treats the outliers. So they're proposing to drive the conversation in that direction so they can get hollow victories, which makes it seem like it's doing something, but it just allows for the more persecution of thought. As more people get persecuted in thought, they will eventually leave because it will become a hostile environment. Therefore, increasing the dichotomy of the voters. They want to purge Democrats from their city if they can't speak freely, because Republicans are all on path with this. Not all Republicans, like I said, there are conservatives out there who voted for Trump, which I explained what they were doing, and I agreed. I can agree. Not everybody who voted for Trump is a fucking psychopath, but the majority of the people who did are. And it's because of stuff like this. The hollow victories that empower them. Oh, my senator beat your leftist ass and ruled that you can't teach that. So they get angrier and think, well, if they're going to do it anyway, I'm going to just come up to school and shoot the shit. Type shit. That's what that's creating. The revolving cycle of, if the left would just stop pushing these things, we could all get along. Agitating them consistently. That's why I don't get why the online left is in such a splinter right now. They're on the defense. You could prove to people why that's a pointless thing that they paid attention to by redirecting their attention to look what got ignored while that was happening. Are you happy that your kids can't learn critical race theory? Well, guess what? They weren't going to learn it anyway. Now they won't. They will learn even less. And if you're okay with that, sure, that's your child. You do what you want. But just remember, you still got the thing that you really wanted ignored because you were more focused on that. Why? Because they were more focused on that. The plan's in place. We got to break that plan. And it starts with shit like that. That's why this is a bad move. That is why that is a terrible thing. How could a teacher possibly discuss slavery, the Holocaust, or the mass shootings at the Walmart in El Paso, or at the Sutherland Springs Church in my district without giving deference to any one perspective? Like, yeah, see it from both sides. The murderer side and, like, the victim side. Like, help me here. Get it? Like it? Subscribe it.